have been.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going into Tosche Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no move.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Star Wars Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vedabonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
And another episode of the Book of Boba Fett has dropped, and we both had a chance to watch it. I was not up at 3 a.m., Kenton. I woke up at 6:30 like a normal person, and then actually went to work, and I didn't watch it until after I'd finished all my classes this morning.
I watched it. I watched it about 7 in the morning, or 7:30 in the morning or so before I started the day, and I'm happy I did. There's lots to be spoiled in there, as we're about to do, so don't listen if you haven't
Yes,
seen it.
Go ahead and watch the show if you haven't, and then come back and listen. You're right. It was packed full of stuff, and that's something I have to kind of keep in mind. And this is the same for The Mandalorian as well. All these episodes had so much detail and so many things to talk about and so many things to dissect. And I think they know that, Star Wars fans love doing that, so that's why they do it. But yeah, there's a lot to go off of here. Again, we have two parts, and this one was very much first part was modern times, second part was the past, the flashback, and we didn't go back and forth like we did in the last episode. You're right.
We'll come back to that.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm certainly in one respect, absolutely in the mean.
Yes,
scene.
in one respect in particular, but the fact that that was part of a double storyline in less than a 1 hour episode just shows you how much it's like a movie's worth of stuff packed into less than an hour.
And it was closer to an hour, certainly, than the last episode as well. So it shows you that really the length of it is determined by the script, probably. Like, I think it's really cool that they're going at this from I don't know, I guess that's what they're doing. They're saying, okay, write the story. Here's the story. Now, here's the chapters. Here's how we're going to divide up the story. And then the episode is as long as it needs to be. Right. It's usually, I don't think there's been any that have been over an hour so far. I don't think there have been. For Mandalorian, anyway.
For Mandalorian, I don't think there has been.
No, but I mean, that doesn't
maybe that last episode, maybe that finale might have
pretty
been
close, around an hour anyway. It's not been like an hour and a half or anything, not movie length anyway.
Right.
But
I would love a Mandalorian movie, and I'd probably love a Boba Fett movie too. But we're kind of getting that.
That's exactly right. Yeah. This is better. It's better because we get more time. More time with Boba Fett. It is
better.
Yeah. So we start off exactly where you predicted. We have Fennec bringing the one lone assassin back to Jabba's palace to face Boba Fett to find out where they who sent him to kill them or to try and kill them. And man, just love it. I guess everything looks just like Return of the Jedi. It's just the exact same doors that rise up, and he's walking through. So they're kind of revealing the palace to us bit by bit throughout the show, and I kind of prefer that, I guess, to what they were to like just showing it all at once, right?
Well, it's such a known place in Star Wars that it's just fun. It's fun every time you get to see it. Another time today to see it in a modern, like how many years have we aged since Return of the Jedi came out? So it's kind of fun to see.
Almost 40 years, coming on 40 years now.
Yeah,
next year.
Now after all these years is great.
Yeah.
So I love that, and even some of the camera angles were ones we've seen before, particularly looking down into the Rancor pit.
Oh, man.
We thought we were going to get our first Rancor kill because I just assumed that there'd be another Rancor down there.
I did not assume that at all. No, I thought there would be something there. I did not think it would be a Rancor. I thought it would be like something else. I thought it would be like a Bantha or something stupid like that, or a joke. I did not think the Rancor was going to be there.
They made it clear that Jabba has a menagerie, and so I thought there could be some other item from the menagerie down there. Idle
threat from Mino. But I love that scene, and I love the way that plays out. I'm starting to really like this droid that he's got. That just like he's never gonna talk. He's like, and you can tell he's just so eager to torture him. He just really wants to torture him anyway. So please let me torture this guy. That's all he wants to do.
Yeah, that droid was built for torture. And he wants to torture people. But I love the scene. So they drop him in. It's a bluff. And the guy, they're like, they never talk and he won't talk. And so they drop him in, the gate opens, and he like shouts out who sent him there. And that's not surprisingly the mayor. And then I thought it was a nice touch that you see a little mouse
Oh yes.
walking out. You see a little mouse who's living there now.
Mhm.
That's funny stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, so they go pay the mayor a visit, and again, another very funny encounter. You can see the bureaucracy continues into the mayor's office as we have this mustache and mulleted a clerk who is also giving him a bit of the runaround, the bureaucratic runaround, but he quickly forces his way in, and we meet the mayor, and it's not as I was completely off when I said it was somebody from his past. It's not. It's just an Ithorian guy. I don't know. Is there someone from his past? I don't know that there is. It just seems to be a guy. Who's the mayor?
Oh, well, he's a hammerhead.
Yeah, he's a hammerhead. Ithorian hammerhead. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we would have called him a hammerhead. That's who we called that figure in the back in the day was called that, right? But yeah, the species is Ithorian. I love the way they made him look aged. Like they actually made him look. They're doing a great job with that, making these characters look distinctive and different from each other. I have more to say on that coming up. And so he talks to him and says, "What's going on here? You sent these guys?" And he's like, "I did not." And he pretends to say, "Thanks for bringing." He's like belittling him by saying, "Oh, thanks for bringing us this bounty. Here's your bounty reward or whatever." And he's like, "I'm not a bounty hunter." Like he's not a bounty hunter anymore. He wants to be more than a bounty hunter. And this guy's just kind of like again shooting him down. Why do you think he's doing this?
It's all power grabs and power plays and jockeying for position. It's all of that stuff, and it's every it's like The Sopranos meets there was a show with Kelsey Grammer, only 2 seasons, called Mayor.
Yes
Yeah, and it's good. It's a good show. It's a good show. But it was like that. He was like just a son of a bitch, like you just freaking hated that guy. And so I thought this guy reminded me of that. Like he's the Star Wars version of that. He's just a real dick who you have to. You can never fully rest because you never know what he's up to.
He also seems to have more, like he's treated at a higher rank than mayor. He seems more like a king or a royalty. He sits on a throne. Oh, apologies, sire. Like as much, lots of that going on. So I don't know how you get like elected to be mayor. I don't think there is a lot of democracy going on in this place. Doesn't seem like so. I don't think that's how it happened. But it certainly was interesting, that whole exchange. And that leads him back to the brothel. I forget the name of it. Did you get the name?
No, I don't remember what they called it.
Anyway, back to Flashdance.
Oh, and not just that, and also a Max Rebo.
Oh, yes, and Dan Figrin Dan.
Yes,
sorry.
And they had a new song they were playing.
Yep.
So that was before, because then they. Oh no, pardon me. Sorry, I got the order mixed up. That's right. That was after they visit the mayor. That's right.
Yeah, and so I guess we'll see probably more from the mayor to come, and who knows what's going to happen there. But it's not as big a thing as I think I made it out to be last week. I think that it's going to be he's going to be a side nuisance, and that's going to be like maybe comic relief. Those little toadies and the guys who work for him will pop up here and there for laughs. But I don't think it's going to be a serious thing this season anyway. And then so he goes to meet up with. He goes to the brothel and finds out that, and again, you're right, it is about a power grab, because turns out there are Jabba had cousins, the twins, as they call them. And did you know who they meant? Is this something that's been referred to in past Star Wars?
It must have been. I mean, we know that there's other Hutts.
Oh yeah,
we know that, and Clone Wars had Zero the Hutt. And
what was the one for the one from the movie? Was that Zero or was that something else?
From which movie?
From the Clone Wars movie. Remember? Oh, it was like a baby hut. It was a baby hut.
Right.
Baby Jabba. Okay.
Baby
something
hut,
like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So we know that there's that they're a dynasty in the crime world.
Right.
I guess.
Lots of power. And again, and then we finally get to see the litter everybody's been talking about so much. They make such a big deal out of this litter. Well, no wonder. It's huge and bending, carried by at least a dozen people, and it's got 2 huts on it, and they're like side by side. It's kind of a weird positioning for those huts.
I wasn't sure if they were conjoined.
Well, I think they had to figure out a way to get them all in the shot. It's kind of what they're looking at there.
I loved seeing huts again.
Oh yes.
Broad daylight too, which is so it's hard to make them look good in broad daylight.
Yeah,
but they did. I look good. And by the way, one's a dude and one's a girl. Is that what's going on there? Are
I
they
believe
both
so.
women?
My sister, no. He said, I think that, yeah, the one is supposed to be male. My sister, like the main one that was talking most of the time, and the sister was sitting there with the fan whispering into his ear. I think they're like fraternal twins or whatever. That's the idea.
Okay.
And they're Jabba's
I thought
cousins.
they might have both been women, but
I
might
mean,
have
that could be as
I've
well.
only
I don't
seen
know.
it once. I've
Yeah.
only seen it once, and it went by so fast.
Yeah, that's true. So that could be the case. So then we have this kind of standoff, a bit of a standoff in the town there between Boba and the Hutts. And so they're saying they want to come in here, and it's made clear, like maybe they weren't aware that Bib Fortuna, or maybe Bib Fortuna was working for them. Like it doesn't seem that they cared that Bib Fortuna had taken over, right? Because it's been 5 years and it's been running fine. I guess he probably just kept the payments up or kept everything flowing just like Jabba did and didn't change much. But because now Bib Fortuna has been killed and now that presumably the flow of money has been cut off, they're coming in to see what's going on, and now they're laying claim to the territory, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And they've got a Wookiee protecting them.
Oh my God. I never thought a Wookiee could look more badass than Chewbacca. Holy shit, did that look like a badass Wookiee? Like, I can't wait to see this guy in action. We have to see him in action.
Oh, I know we will. I actually think that Wookiee is a character from Marvel Comics. I've not confirmed this.
Okay.
But I actually think this Wookiee first showed up in Marvel Comics.
Oh, that's awesome.
I can't remember his name. But I actually think he has a. Oh, I'm trying to remember. Racking my brain here.
Someone will tell us, or we'll figure it out next week. He'll be back. I'm sure he'll be back.
I didn't have time today to look up any of this stuff.
Yeah, no. By the way,
sure.
we didn't mention that we're back in classes, so this is also been a busy day for that.
Right, absolutely. So I've had all day to forget what I watched in the show.
But they do have a bit of a standoff, and it turns out, and certainly I think the Hutts are just kind of driven by their own self-preservation at that point, because if a gunfight were to break out at that point, they would be killed, likely. So they just like, okay, we're going to back off for now, but we'll be back. They're basically saying, we'll be back next season. It's kind of what I took that as. It's like, all right, we'll let this go for now, but we'll come back to it when we want to.
I think that will get resolved this season. I think.
Okay. Well,
because I'm starting to get the sense that the story that's being told in the modern day is going to be, I don't think they're going to belabor that. I think it's going to be pretty quickly resolved, because we have to get him to where he was in The Mandalorian, probably sooner rather than later, I'm guessing.
So you think that we'll have a time jump on that side, but not on the modern side?
Potential. I'm not sure. He's got to find Slave One in the past. He's got to get the armor back. Like,
no, he got the army back in The Mandalorian. Like, remember, he's right. All we have to do is get him to the point where he's like, he walks up and we see him and he finally finds Cobb. Like, that's the point. So that's where we have to get him to. So he just has to wander around Tatooine until he gets there, basically. Right.
Right. Well, he's got to look for his armor, I guess, is what I meant. Like, there's going to be something that makes him go in that direction. I don't know what. I started to think today more that maybe that is Fennec Shand hiding in the Tusken Raider outfit. You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think that you were right about the romantic. I think that's a love interest. I think that was I think you were talking about last week. Was that one of the ones you were talking about?
That could be that. I mean,
be a love interest.
It's weird to say a sand person could be a love interest, but it almost seems that way.
But we're learning so much about this culture now. Yeah. They're making this so much more. We're just getting right into it, and it's clearly an allegory for the quote unquote Native American experience. And we're seeing like their culture, their customs. He's becoming part of the tribe. They're teaching him how to fight with the what's it called again? Gaffy stick, right? And then we get to the point where they're just waiting for the train. Like, is that the point of that? They encounter, we see the train running through. The train starts shooting at them first, but are they sitting there waiting to rob it, or what are they trying to do there, do you think?
I don't think so. I didn't get that sense at all. I just got the sense that train comes through and they shoot first and ask questions later. They just destroy everything in their way.
Okay.
And they see the Tusken Raiders as a threat to what they're doing, and so they just eliminate them just as a matter of course.
Okay, that's you're probably right, and that's I think kind of going off of the stereotype that Tusken Raiders are just there to destroy things, and that's going back to the first Star Wars movie. It continued into the prequels when we see the Tusken Raiders shooting at the pod racers and stuff like that just to mess with them, and maybe that's what those ones were doing. We're messing with them, but I think what we're seeing is that those stereotypes have had negative implications for Sand people at large. For Tusken, I don't know even know if Tusken Raiders here. We're worrying about the terms now. I'm worrying about the terms now because I'm starting to think of these Tusken Raiders, these Sand people, as I do Indigenous people, right? So you start to think in terms of that, and you see what's happening here. And I think that what's happening in that part of the story is informing what we're seeing on the other end of the storyline. And right. I think the goal of Boba Fett here is to free Tatooine. I think that's what he's going after here. He's become part of these Tusken Raiders, these indigenous people to Tatooine, these people who've been there and now have had to deal with all these people coming in. I don't know why Tatooine is it's the center of the known universe in Star Wars. I read an article. Did you read that one that the guy said, "I hate Tatooine"?
Yeah.
And he's right. I mean, there's like too much happens here, right? Like, just come on. So I get that, and Jakku was a Tatooine clone, and that and there's all kinds of stuff like that. But regardless, these people have had to deal with this, and now he's teaching them to fight back, and I think it's pretty cool.
No, it's a great storyline. And there's a lot there. Oh, and of course, like, we can't forget. So the train comes through, but he pays a visit to, I think that's Tosche Station, right?
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, that was awesome. I love. Again, we have this. I mean, was that one of his friends? Is that who that guy was? Those two people who were there.
I believe that's Cammy and Fixer from the deleted scenes from A New Hope. I believe. Yep. But I almost got worried there for a second, and I thought he was going to say, "Well, Cammy, what do you think we should do?" Well, Fixer, like I thought they were gonna hit it a little too hard, but they didn't. I think that's who they were, though.
Yeah,
and they were being roughed up by the bikers, and then Boba Fett comes in and he beats them all up, and then takes the bikes, which is awesome. I love that scene.
Yeah, and he ropes them together like cattle and takes them back, and somehow they all kind of follow along. They must be like slaved together, something like that, because they all kind of, their momentum doesn't stop as he slows down. They all stop together. But yeah, that's great. And yeah, he takes his thing back, and then immediately the Sand people start to taking it apart for parts. And he's like, no, stop! I'm going to teach you how to ride these things. And so he teaches them. We have a great training montage, which again, I love that too. The guy's like practicing jumping from one bike to the other. They're practicing at lower speeds. I made the note here, Star Wars driver's ed. Because he's like teaching them how to drive and how to do all this stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, there's some good gags in there and stuff, and and training them to jump from one bike to another, and it's good stuff.
And in return, they continue to train him with the gaffy stick and train him in their ways.
This is where it becomes Solo, where we are gonna stop this train is what we're gonna do, and I guess we're gonna bring some punishment to the people who killed.
But I was still confused about the motive behind it. Right, I was confused about whether this was a part of the thing they do. Like I just kind of. I don't know. I guess that intro, they didn't make it clear enough whether or not they were just hanging out and the train invades, or if they're sitting there waiting for the train to do something to it. So you've cleared that up for me, but I think that there are probably other people who are confused about that.
I don't think so. I think I just think that who knows? The train could take any route, probably.
I thought there should be tracks as also, which there wasn't. So there was my part of my brain was like thinking it's floating. Of course, it's a hover train.
Right. So it doesn't need It doesn't need.
No, I love the train. I love a good train robbery scene. It's just it's so much fun, and this was so good. It's such a great scene, and this is where we're seeing this same person, this female Tusken Raider, is the one with the long hair, right? That's the one we're talking about. It looks kind of like hair. I don't know if it's hair, or if it's bandages, but whatever. It looks like long hair, so I think that's how they're kind of indicating that. And so, like, they're on the top. They have to get on top of there, and they're fighting their way to the front of the train. And then she sees that, and she sees they're kind of pinned down, so she jumps on there and takes them all out. And it was just hilarious. The one shot where you see the guy go whoop, and her head pops up, and then again, like, it just all these. It was beautifully shot. Who directed this one? I should look it up. I'm not sure. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, I didn't even have time to look to see who directed this episode.
Steph Green.
Oh, okay.
And
Is Steph Green a man or a woman?
her work. Steph is a her. Book of Boba Fett, Run and Jump, and New Boy. I have no idea. So maybe not a ton of directing experience, but just a great, like the way this is put together was really well shot and really well executed.
No, it was great.
Yeah.
So, and I also like the droid driving the train.
Yes, that was good too.
Built to do nothing but drive the train, evidently, with many arms and many responsibilities with those arms.
But also many options as far as that engine and what he can do with the settings and accelerating and decelerating and using it as a weapon pretty much. So that was kind of cool as well. Again, the whole sequence was awesome. Great train robbery scene. And then they do end up robbing the train, right? So they start unloading it and looking at the stuff, and then Boba's like, do you have any spice? What do you mean by spice? That was good too, with that whole exchange. And then that's when we learn this is about it's about the land. It's about you can't cross this land without permission now. We're claiming this land. And that's when they make
Sea.
What's that?
The sand people have ancestral claim to the Dune Sea.
Right.
Is what he says. Yeah.
Yes.
And so we want you to pay a tariff if you're going to bring the train through here.
Mm-hmm.
And then they appear to agree to that.
Well, I don't think they have much choice. But I think that's where really hammers the point home is what this is about and what this is analogous to, because that kind of stuff does happen here, and it made me think about all the kind of the blockades and the different actions that we've seen from Indigenous peoples over the years, and those that's kind of the only way they can do things to exert their power and to make things change is to take action like that. No, they don't kill people like those guys did, but at the same time, this is Tatooine. This is the Wild West. Like, this is what it is, right? And that's also very clear. This is very much a Wild West, or like a Western feel to it throughout. Like, this is just like what's a train robbery? Good train robbery scene. Butch Cassidy, is there one in that one? I don't remember. I think of the Great Train Robbery with like Sean Connery and
right.
that's not the Old West though. That's England in the 1800s, not America. But similar thing.
James Cagney in White Heat. That starts off with a train robbery for sure.
There you go. That's very much like this, right? But also you're right, like Solo, and it was just as good as Solo. Again, great scene, and very, very happy with that.
Great special effects.
Yep.
Yeah, very well done. Very I got very much embroiled in the story. Mm-hmm. And I sort of forgot, or I didn't really think about what was which storyline we were watching.
Right.
I didn't get tied up in that like I sort of did in the first episode.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about the modern part, the present day, right?
Me neither.
I did make a note here. Why do they always want to waste the water? They always want to they knock the thing off and the water pours out into the sands, just like in Mad Max. Like, why would you? It's wasting water, dude. What are you doing?
Don't waste the water.
And then we see him become, first of all, he's now, when the scene where he's confronting the train the people running the train, he's sitting like he does in the present day on the throne, right? He's already starting to be in charge. Like, maybe not officially, but he is now becoming in charge of this tribe, right? He's the leader. And
he's still learning, though. He's still in the position of learning their ways. Yeah,
but as far as these train guys are concerned, he's in charge because he's the only one who could speak to them, right? So he also has the advantage of being able to communicate and to tell them what's going on. So there's that as well. We see him become part of the tribe. We see him get his costume. I love this. This is like showing us how the Sand people get their wrappings and the whole ceremony about it. Oh, we forgot about the. How do you want to describe this? What's that?
The trippy visit to the tree.
Yeah, he's clearly it's a vision quest, but I think of the Simpsons episode with Homer and the hot pepper. There's a number of different things that have done this kind of thing, but it is meant to be along the lines of a vision quest, which is a particular custom for some Indigenous nations. And it was interesting. It's a frog thing that goes up his nose. It was all funny when he's like, "I think I swallowed it."
A lizard, yeah.
He's like, "Lizard, thank you." And it's kind of weird to see him being so nice, But I guess we don't know that he wasn't nice before. We just didn't see that side of him, right?
Well,
maybe he's changing, right? Maybe he's changing.
He was a bounty hunter. Now he says, "I'm not a bounty hunter," and you sort of see what they're showing us is the transition.
Right. Yes, and he started to become care about these people. We see him dressed. Now he doesn't get a mask, right? He just gets the hood. He gets everything but
Yeah.
the mask. Why do you think that is? I guess so we
Well,
can see his face, but other than that,
well, this is why I wonder how much of this there is, because that's how we saw him in The Mandalorian. That's
yes,
that he was the first time we see him, he's in that outfit.
yeah.
And he got the stick as well. He's got the stick with them.
Oh,
So
that was cool too. That was another cool sequence when
Yeah.
he's making the stick. That's so yeah. He gets that branch, brings it back, and that's what they used to make the stick, and that was so neat, so cool.
Oh no, it was excellent, and not to mention the flashbacks to once again to Daniel Logan or Daniel Logan lookalike,
Mhm.
flashbacks and stuff. Very cool, and but I wonder, like, when he fully emerges dressed that way, the way we know him in The Mandalorian, it makes me wonder how much more to the story that there is. Like, is this going to be? Are we going to make a transition from that stuff in the past soon? Or are we going to leave the Sand People behind soon? Or how's that going to work?
I think we're gonna have now. I mean, really, you only have to have, because this one I didn't measure, but it certainly was the bulk of this episode was in the past, right? So there's a bit of it at the top front was the present, and then to the past. But they could go the other way, right? It could go more heavy in the present, and then the next one could be a little bit in the past, and they could tell a little bit of the story. And I think they could probably show us a few more encounters that he has along his travels along Tatooine. So I think you're right. It will, at the end of that, and end of that, it will bring us to the beginning of the. You know what I mean? Like, it will complete the circle, as it were. But I think that we're not going to see much more of him with the Sand People, certainly. But we might see him start traveling and going to a couple different places and looking for his armor somehow.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. And there's going to be some emotional moment when he leaves the Sand People, I imagine.
Yeah.
I'm sort of thinking in my mind, what's the end game here? And
Well,
I think, in the present day, if he gets himself in a pinch, like in a finale scenario, I would expect the Sand People would show up to help him. Like, if in a battle scenario, and that I keep thinking that's where we may be going here, where it becomes like he doesn't have an army, but then he does have an army, and it's the Sand People.
That could happen. Yeah, that's a very good prediction. Another way is that the train people could come back with more people and wipe them out, like just blow the tribe off the face of the planet. Boba Fett's the only survivor, and he's out for vengeance, and then he's out to free the planet from all the oppressors.
Well, yeah, but he still wants to be a crime lord, right?
Well, I think that's the cover. I think that's just on the surface, but I think his ultimate goal is to get rid of the Hutts. He wants to rule with respect. He's not doing anything negative. He's not killing anybody. He's not hurting anybody. He's just kind of messing around with people and faking them out with fake rancors. So that's kind of like, I think his ultimate goal is to, like, once the Hutts are gone, to say, okay, you're free. Here you go. Sorry about all this. And I think so ultimately it's going to mean he's got to get rid of the mayor. That's why I think the mayor is going to be next season's villain, not this season.
Well, you got the mayor, you got the Hutts, you got any number of criminals.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and the potential for cameos is so rich, and we're so excited.
Yeah.
But I think, what I'm doing too much of, I realized kind of this time, was that I'm trying to make too many connections to the past, and I really shouldn't. Like, we really shouldn't be. I don't think that we're going to get anybody from the past anymore. I don't think it's going to be. We might get Dangar here or something as a throwaway kind of a nod, like we have in the past, like these little things throughout. But I don't think it's going to become a major part of the story, because they're really creating a new story here, and I really like the story that they're creating.
Well, I still think, and I don't think this season, but future season, I think, should they make another? I don't know if they're going to. I don't know how that's going to play out. But I do think I'm going to avenge my father. I'm going to try to see if this Mace Windu guy is still alive. That's a rich place for the story to go in another season.
Or crossover with Obi-Wan? Oh no, that couldn't happen.
The crossover with Obi-Wan.
No, Obi-Wan's going to be in the past. I'm
yes,
confusing. Never mind.
It'll happen in the past, so it won't be as interesting. That's the thing. I want to see what's happening Mandalorian era.
Yeah. Okay.
Like where we are now.
Present. That's the present, right? That's what we're thinking about. That's the present. Exactly.
Right.
Okay. One more element I noticed here, and I noticed it at the beginning. So when he first comes out of the brothel in his costume, and we see kind of the full shot of him, I noticed anyway that there's much more black in his costume than there used to be. He's still got the same old plates of armor, like the chest plate, the helmet, the back plate, and the gauntlets and everything like that. But the rest of it is black and orange, which I think are his colors from the tribe. I think that's what that is meant to represent.
I think that's part of his. I think he's still wearing that outfit underneath his armor.
Yeah.
So it's a new look. It's a new. He looks different in that. There's a new figure actually.
Yeah, exactly. It's just what I was gonna say. A new figure for you to collect, Kenton.
Oh, I think I would get that figure.
It's nice. It looks cool. It really does.
Yeah.
Like I like the mix of the old armor and again the dent is always there. The dent never went away. I don't think.
I thought he buffed it out in The Mandalorian.
No, I don't think so. I think they're going to keep it.
I'm going to need to look at that again because remember The Mandalorian? It's all beat up and then
I remember. Yeah, I think he gets a new paint job, but I don't know if that's it. Anyway,
but wait a second. Do we know? Okay. This is already probably going too deep, but do we know? Like in The Mandalorian, Boba Fett drops them off on that ship where the end game goes down and Luke shows up, and off goes Boba Fett. Where's Boba Fett going at that point? Like, where are we in our Boba Fett story when he drops them off there? Is he just on his way back to Tatooine? Because that happens in the credits. When it's in the credits of The Mandalorian, we see him take kill Bib Fortuna and take the throne. Is that the order it happens in?
I think it's meant to happen after the events of The Mandalorian that we just saw.
Okay, that's what I've always thought. But today I was like, does it? I mean,
we presume that they both that's where they went. Like from the point at which they split off, Mando and those people go to meet up with Luke, and then him and Fennec go off to Tatooine. I assume they went directly to Tatooine, and that scene that we saw him just show up and kill Bib Fortuna. And yeah, it turns out Bib Fortuna was not like very much. He was just, I think he just kind of continued. I already said that. I think he already continued and did not like. He was not a crime lord unto himself. He was just kind of a figurehead.
Yeah, it's fun. It's interesting. It's fun seeing the other two Hutts show up.
Oh yeah,
and another Wookiee. And I think, like, once again, I think Jon Favreau is very good at giving us just the right amount of that. Like it's not. They don't just throw the nostalgia at you over and over and over and over and sort of live in that space.
Yeah.
But there's enough of it that it kind of like pushes those buttons without sort of fully giving itself into that while charting out a new course. And, the visit to the tree reminded me of Luke's visit to the tree on Dagobah in some ways. The trees have like mystical properties.
Represent life. They represent the branching possibilities of life, right?
And I thought it's funny that everybody wants to see how a Jedi constructs the lightsaber, but we actually got how the thing that nobody thought about was how does the Sand People build the gaffy stick?
Yeah.
And that's that was cool. That was great to see that and how this tribe operates and his role within it and et cetera, et cetera. I just think it's pretty good stuff. And I still think I know there is some scenes from the trailer, which we still have not seen. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure there was an interview with Robert Rodriguez where he said that all of the scenes in the trailer come from the first part of the first episode, but that's already not true.
Yeah, they always say that stuff. They always say that.
There's scenes with Boba Fett meeting with people who we have not seen. There's the Mandalorian's voice in the trailer.
Honestly, I take everything
might not
with
mean anything.
Yeah, or it might not even be in the show for all we know. Like they can just kind of drop these things if they want to. So I don't put too much stock into what's in the trailer necessarily.
But the major one, which I do not think can be edited or in any way, is the girl on the speeder bike. The actress from Yellow Jackets on the speeder bike who just like zooms in on the trailer.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, wow, what's going on here? Like, I thought she'd be involved in the heist of. I figured that she would help Boba beat up the swoop gang and steal the bikes, but we've already done that. We're already past that. So I don't know. There's still some stuff that we have not seen the outcome for.
Yeah, I mean, we could spend another episode with the Sand People tribe, because I think we are starting to distinguish like the different personalities and the different people within it. Like one guy's really good at shooting, like really good at shooting.
Yeah.
Holy crap! I don't know how you could possibly hit the window of that train speeding along by staying stationary. What's that?
It'd be hard.
He's really good. And of course we have that female character who's really a great fighter and does a great. And again, there did seem to be something between them as we in that ceremony where they do the dance. They did this kind of gaffy stick dance, and they start with the two of them going around the fire, and then the rest of the tribe joins. And again, I love these customs and the stuff we're seeing created here. It's great.
Yeah, it's. I thought this episode. Like, I know you loved the first episode. I liked the first episode, but I thought this one was, maybe it was a bit longer, and that's part of the reason, but I thought it was like a big step up. Like the first one was like a little appetizer, and this one was like, holy, like they really, I thought, took a big step up in terms of the storytelling in this particular episode. Not that I didn't like the first one. I liked the first one. I just didn't think there wasn't too much to hang on to there other than the Sarlacc pit and some of that stuff. Whereas with this one, there's a lot more kind of like, whoa, like, look at this, look at that. Like a lot of different sort of interesting things that just made their appearance in this episode. So I love it. I thought that was great.
Agreed.
And by the way, yesterday I watched not all of it, but a good chunk of Swingers with Jon Favreau. And it's so weird when you watch that now and you see him and Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn, and Vince Vaughn's like a skinny little guy.
They're both skinny little guys in that.
And the dude from Office Space,
Ron Livingston.
Yes, Ron Livingston. Right.
Oh, there's a couple other names in that. I love that movie. I watched it last year.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's great. And so in the movie, as you watch the film, you're like, this little nerd in this film is now in charge of Star Wars. Is in charge of TV Star Wars. Jon Favreau. You're like, that guy who is in Swingers. It's unbelievable.
Well, I mean, that's why part of the reason why I think this is cool, because again, I've known about Jon Favreau since Swingers. That's when I really became aware of who he was and like his as a career. But I mean, I think we'd seen him previous to that in Rudy was the other movie he was in. He was like Rudy's buddy or whatever. But it's cool to see somebody who's been around that long, and we know he's put in his time. We know he's done lots of different things in Hollywood, and he's been like a struggling actor, and he's worked his way up. And to see him kind of coming into this position where he can create these stories and put together the show, it's just really satisfying. You know, good things happen to good people. I think this is evidence of that. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's great. I want him to create more Star Wars faster is really what I would like. And of course Dave Filoni on The Mandalorian, same thing. But I guess Filoni's now working on the Ahsoka show. I would imagine,
he's taking the lead. He is an executive producer on this one, but I don't think he's taking that much of an active role. Or we might see an episode directed by him. I don't know. But Robert Rodriguez is an executive producer, so I think he is much more active. I think he's going to be involved in more of the episodes as we go forward. Like he might direct. We might see him direct the finale or something like that, right?
I just think it's interesting how Star Wars was like, if it wasn't a movie, it didn't seem like it was Star Wars. And now it's like, wait a second, just like TV kind of took away long form storytelling from movies in lots of different ways. Now that we binge watch TV shows and stuff, Star Wars is now become kind of the darling of streaming services of all things. And I don't think at the time people thought that the streaming show could be as good as they are.
I agree.
So I was thinking about that today while I was watching it. Like, holy crap! Like we get this all through Disney Plus.
Yeah, and the caveat is that other than HBO was the one that could produce that level, like with Game of Thrones, that was producing a blockbuster movie level television. That's what they did. But this is what Lucasfilm and Disney are doing with these series, right? And we know it's going to continue. This is exactly what's happening with the Marvel stuff as well. The Marvel stuff hasn't been as good story wise, but it's certainly been quality wise as good as the films, right? So this is just we can expect more of this to come.
Yeah, and it's great. I love it. Yeah, the train scene is just as good as the one in Solo, and it's it does not suffer for being on a streaming service.
No, I'm going to watch it again. I started to watch it again. I thought I could get a couple, at least half of it in, but I'm just at the first train encounter now. So I'm going to probably watch the rest of it later tonight. And yeah, it's awesome.
Watching it once is exciting, but I always have amnesia after the first time because I'm just like, there's so much that I'm thinking.
And plus you're watching it first thing in the morning, so you're still not awake, right?
Well, it's partially that, but I found last week when I watched it the second time, I was like, I remembered stuff that I totally forgot about after the first time.
I agree. Yeah.
So it's good. It's a double watch, I think is a necessity. And I think some other podcasters have said they're doing 3 times an episode. And I was like, yeah, like if you really want to soak, like freeze frame and get every detail, then
I did that for the first one, but I probably won't do it for everyone. I don't know. We'll see how much time
I have. It's hard. There's only so much time in the day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have children to take care of and stuff like that. Anyway.
Oh my God.
All right.
Don't do that. Don't take care of those kids. Watch Star Wars instead.
Yes, of course. And they don't care. They don't care about any of it. As Baby Yoda's not in it, they don't care. They have no interest. Okay. Well, I guess that's going to do it.
I was just going to say, my friend texted me today from Texas, and he's like, I was so on Boba Fett. And I texted him back. I said, didn't you think today's episode just like raised it a notch? He's like, oh, I haven't watched today's episode yet. I was like, what are you texting me for then? Do you want me to spoil it for you? But then he said, I can't watch it. I watch it with my kids.
Ah, okay.
So I was like, oh, okay. Some kids still care about Star Wars. But
I'm sure there are lots of kids who do, but just not mine.
Your kids have what, an Oculus Rift on their head?
Yeah. Well, that's gathering dust in the closet, I'm sad to say. Frickin' you and anyway, we're not going to go down that road. That's good. Is that it? Are we done now? Can we just start?
Well, I thought maybe you'd want to say that you're selling an Oculus Rift on the podcast, but okay.
Yeah, I'll post the link to Kijiji underneath. You can see that there. All right. No, that's it. Well, of course, we'll continue watching, and we're going to try and get this up. It is, I should be able to get this up by tomorrow morning. So we'll be posting on Thursday mornings now, the day after the episodes air. So you guys have time to watch and then listen to the podcast. And of course, let us know your thoughts. Let's get a big discussion going on Twitter about this. We had some people talking to us about it there, but we'd love to talk to you guys and get your thoughts on everything that's happening here. Of course, we also have the Facebook groups. There's 1 or 2. There's a page and a group, so you can find us on Facebook.
You were arguing with someone about pod races, I saw.
Yes, that's right.
Is the pod race scene good or bad?
It's awesome. He said it was awful, and I was like, it's great. What are you talking about? It's it's one of the 2 good parts of that movie. That's you're just shrugging. You're shrugging. But I like it. I like the pod race scene. So
that's Phantom Menace is my least favorite Star Wars film. So it's like, I'm fine either way. I think I'm past it. Either way, I'm past it. I'm like, yeah, some of it works. Some of it doesn't work. Who cares? We got new stuff to watch. Why litigate old lawsuits?
You hear that, Zach? You're living in the past. All right. Well, let's wrap it up for today. That's going to do it for this episode of the Star Wars Nerds. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force hit you in the ass.
Going into Tosche Station to pick up some power converters. Going into Tosche Station to pick up some power converters.